A bedroom in Cleveland, Ohio. Tuesday night, just past 10. A single lamp burns on the walnut vanity. A woman sits in front of the mirror in a cotton robe. The lid is off a white jar of Pond's cold cream. The smell is clean, faintly medicinal, cool on the fingertips. She works the cream in small upward circles, jawline to temples, the way her mother taught her. She has done this every single night for 19 years. Her skin catches the lamplight. She is 48 years old. There is no serum on that vanity, no retinol, no appointment with a skin doctor on her calendar. There is one jar, a clean cotton tissue, and a woman who trusts what she knows. These are 14 anti-aging secrets the beauty industry buried. Some of them will sound strange. Every single one of them worked. Most of them cost pennies. An industry figured out how to charge $100 for what used to cost a dime. Now, before we dive in, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. Number 11. The blue can of Crisco on the bathroom shelf. In thousands of homes, the same blue and white can that fried Sunday chicken sat on the bathroom shelf at night. Crisco, vegetable shortening. Procter & Gamble launched it in 1911. By the 1950s, women were scooping it out with 2 fingers and smoothing it onto their faces. A pound can cost 35 cents in 1955. It lasted 6 months in the kitchen, and it lasted a year on the vanity. The thick white shortening melted on contact with skin. It went on after the night wash in a layer just heavy enough to feel. The pillowcase had a faint greasy ring by morning. That was the trade. Crisco is hydrogenated vegetable oil. It is an occlusive. It seals the skin and stops moisture from leaving overnight. $90 night creams now do the same mechanical job and call it barrier technology. Same molecule, different aisle. She did not call it a barrier cream. She called it Crisco. The skin underneath did not know the difference. Number 10. A cold steak from the icebox. The icebox in 1953 had no freezer compartment. The meat sat on the lower shelf, wrapped in butcher's paper, kept cold by a block of ice delivered twice a week. When her eye was bruised, when her skin was inflamed, when her face was tired before a Saturday dance, she opened that paper and took out a thin slice of raw beef. She pressed it against the skin and held it there for 15 minutes. The expression black eye and a steak did not come from nowhere. It came from a habit so common nobody had to explain it. The slice cost about a nickel. The cold reduced swelling. The pressure constricted the small blood vessels under the bruise. It worked. It still works. Today, women buy LED light masks for $250 to do the same job that a slice of raw beef did for a nickel. Cryotherapy facials run $140 in any major city. A young woman recently went viral on TikTok, pressing a frozen steak under her eye. The comments called it gross. The comments called it weird. Her grandmother would have called it Tuesday. Number 9. The green tin of bag balm. A small square tin, deep forest green, with a red clover on the lid. Made in Lyndonville, Vermont, since 1899. Its original purpose was to soothe the chapped, inflamed udders of dairy cows after milking. Farm wives in northern New England noticed something. The salve that healed a cow's cracked udder also healed a woman's cracked hands, lips, and heals. A tin cost 25 cents in 1953. It lasted 2 years. It still costs about $7 today in the same square tin with the same clover, made by the same Vermont company. The active ingredients are lanolin and petrolatum. Lanolin is the wax that sheep produce to waterproof their own wool. It is one of the closest natural matches to human skin oil that exists. Modern lip treatments and barrier creams isolate the same compound and sell it in a 4-gram tube for $45. The smell is medicinal. The texture is heavy. It does not absorb quickly. It sits and it works while it sits. Hospital nurseries used it on newborns. Combat medics carried it through 2 wars. None of them needed marketing to know what works. She kept her tin on the kitchen windowsill. Her hands at 70 looked like her hands at 40. Number 8. The paper triangles between the eyebrows. Margaret Crowson patented them in 1889 to fix the forehead lines forming on her daughter, a concert pianist who frowned in concentration when she played. Small triangles of brown craft paper, dampened with water, were pressed between the eyebrows at night. The paper dried tight against the skin. The forehead muscles could not contract underneath it. The lines softened. Then they faded. By 1950, every drugstore in America carried a box labeled Frownies, 50 cents. Marlene Dietrich kept boxes in every house she owned. Rene Russo still used them in 2014. A muscle that cannot contract cannot etch a line into the skin above it. Botulinum toxin does the same thing chemically. A Botox treatment costs $400 to $600 and lasts 3 months. A box of Frownies costs $24 and lasts the same 3 months. She did not call it muscle relaxation. She called it her patches. By morning, the paper had crinkled, but the lines underneath had stayed where she put them. And here is what the beauty industry eventually figured out. A woman who fixed her forehead with a paper triangle did not need a $600 injection. A woman who used a tin made for a cow did not need a $45 lip treatment. So they invented problems she never had. Each new condition required a product. Each product required 2 more. Nobody could patent a lemon. That was the problem the industry needed to solve. Number 7. The nightly cold cream ritual. Every night before bed, women across America massaged cold cream into their faces. They tissued it off in long upward sweeps. They went to sleep with skin that felt like silk. Pond's came in a white milk glass jar, 49 cents in 1953. Noxzema came in a cobalt blue tin with a medicinal eucalyptus and camphor sting that tingled on contact. She spread the cream in small spiral motions, always working upward, never pulling the skin down. Cotton balls sat in a glass dish beside the jar. The tissue came away gray with the day's grime. 1 jar, 1 step. 50 years of consistent skin. Today, the average woman over 40 owns 9 separate skincare products for the same job. Cleanser, toner, essence, serum, eye cream, day moisturizer, night moisturizer, retinol treatment, weekly mask. Her grandmother spent $6 a year on cold cream. Her skin looked better at 70 than most modern skin looks at 45. The jar did not change. The marketing did. Number 6. Witch hazel as toner. Witch hazel was on every bathroom shelf in America. Dickinson's witch hazel in the brown bottle, 29 cents at the drugstore. After cleansing, a woman wet a cotton ball with witch hazel and swept it across her face. The smell was sharp, herbal, slightly woody. It evaporated in seconds. Witch hazel is a natural astringent. It tightens the skin and reduces redness. The same compound shows up today in $50 bottles of facial toner. The label says botanical, balancing. Her grandmother kept the original brown bottle on the shelf next to the rubbing alcohol. Same ingredient, same result. 1/20th of the price. There is a pause worth taking here. Not one habit on this list so far has required a stranger's hands. No injections, no appointments. The work was done at home, alone, in front of a mirror. That privacy was part of the medicine. Number 5. The weekly EGG white mask. 1 egg white from the icebox. Whipped stiff in a teacup with a fork. Applied to the face with the fingertips. Left until it dried tight and the skin pulled gently inward. Rinsed with cool water. That was the entire treatment. The protein in the egg white tightens the skin as it dries. The pores appear smaller. The skin feels firm to the touch. 15 minutes. Less than a nickel. Modern protein masks sell for $45. The label says hydrolyzed albumin. That is the scientific name for egg white. The jar costs $45 because the marketing department decided it should. She did not call it a protein treatment. She called it her EGG mask. Her daughter watched her mix it in the teacup every Sunday evening. The skin around the eyes is the thinnest skin on the human body. Women in the 1950s knew this without being told. The treatment was one product, a fingertip dab of Vaseline at the outer corners and under the lash line before bed. A jar of Vaseline cost 29 cents in 1955. It lasted 6 months. Vaseline is petroleum jelly. It creates a seal. It locks moisture into the skin and stops it from drying out overnight. A $90 eye serum does the same job today in a bottle the size of a thumb. The jar did not change. It is still on the shelf at every drugstore in America for under $4. The industry split it into 5 separate products. Smaller containers, longer ingredient lists, higher markups. Hollywood knew. Marilyn Monroe used Vaseline on her eyelids and cheekbones for the dewy finish that defined her on screen. She did not have a sponsorship deal. She had a jar. Number 3. The lemon spot fade. Brown spots on the back of the hands. The first place a woman would notice time. The treatment was kept in the kitchen. Half a lemon was squeezed onto a cotton ball and dabbed onto each spot once a day. It was left to dry and rinsed in the morning, done at the kitchen sink while the coffee perked. The active ingredient in lemon juice is citric acid. It is the same alpha-hydroxy acid now sold in laboratory bottles for $65 an ounce. The label says, clinical, dermatologist formulated. The lemon cost a nickel. It was already in the refrigerator. It worked because the chemistry was real. The women who used this trick knew one thing more. They stayed out of direct sun while the acid was on the skin. They wore wide-brimmed hats and white cotton gloves. The acid worked, and they knew not to bake it in. Nobody could patent a lemon. That was the real problem. 2 slices of cucumber, cool from the icebox, placed over closed eyes for 10 minutes in the late afternoon. She lay on the davenport with her shoes off. The radio played in the next room. The children were told not to interrupt. The slices warmed against her skin, and the puffiness under her eyes faded. A cucumber from the grocery cost 5 cents in 1955. From the garden, it cost nothing at all. The juice inside reduces swelling. The water content cools the tissue. The pause itself, 10 minutes of stillness in the middle of a working day, did its own quiet work on her face. The eye mask industry now sells single-use cooling pads for $8 apiece. A cucumber lasted 3 days in the icebox and produced 30 applications. The garden did not require a subscription. Number 1. The Saturday Night Oatmeal Mask. A handful of rolled oats, a splash of warm milk, stirred together in a teacup until it became a soft paste. She spread it across her face and lay back on a folded towel for 15 minutes. The oatmeal soothed redness. The lactic acid in the milk dissolved the dead skin on the surface. The skin underneath felt new. The treatment cost roughly 2 cents. Today, the same 2 ingredients are sold separately. An oatmeal mask for $32, a lactic acid serum for $58. Same chemistry, same result, different packaging. She did not call it exfoliation. She called it her Saturday night treatment. The skin responded the same way, regardless. There is a pause worth taking. Almost every treatment on this list forced a woman to stop moving. The cucumber pressed her into the davenport. The egg white locked her face in place. The cold cream demanded a quiet hour. The Frownies sealed her forehead for 8 hours. These were not just beauty rituals. They were the only sanctioned rest a working mother received in a day. The skin care was the cover story. The stillness was the medicine. That was wisdom built into the routine by women who knew their daughters would otherwise never sit down. 14 habits. Not one required a credit card, a clinic, or a consultation. They required a tin of bag balm, a slice of beef, a square of paper, a jar of cold cream, a lemon, a cucumber, a hat. Most of it was already in the kitchen. But the deepest habit was the one nobody could put in a jar. A woman in 1956 looked in the mirror and saw a face she trusted. She knew the lines were forming. Her mother had the same lines. Her grandmother had them too. Those lines had not made either woman less. The lines were the proof of the life. A woman who believed she was already enough was a woman they could not sell to. So they convinced her otherwise. They told her every line was a defect. Every passing year was a war she was losing. It was a lie. It is still a lie. These women were not behind. They were ahead. They solved every problem the beauty industry now charges $100 a month to solve. And they did it in the quiet hour before the rest of the house woke up. And somewhere, right now, a granddaughter is sitting on the edge of a bed watching her grandmother open a jar of Pond's cold cream. The lid comes off. The fingers move in small upward circles, jawline to temple, the way her mother taught her, the way her mother's mother taught her. And without a single word, the lesson begins again. If you want more forgotten wisdom from the generations who came before us, the next video is waiting for you right now.